This is John Patrick Hickey. We are talking about success. What success really is, what it isn't, and how it affects you, and what it means to you. And we just discussed in the last video Christian character and the principles that go into what is the guidelines for our character. And I know that I'm not giving you a whole lot of information within these short videos, and there will be a time that we're going to go into this much deeper in depth about what this character is and how to build character. Right now we're just kind of going through an overview of some of these principles. But I mentioned to you at the close of the last video that one of the things that people have noticed is that I don't use a lot of chapter and verse when I'm either writing or speaking and telling you that, in the book of 2 Timothy you're going to find, chapter 2, verse 7, whatever, and there's a reason that I don't do all of that. For one, if you are a believer, don't be lazy. I am giving principles. When I directly quote a scripture and say, this is what scripture says, then I will use chapter and verse because I'm using a quote. The same as if I was quoting Emerson or Einstein or Francis Schaeffer or someone else, that I would use a direct quote. I give the source and then I use it there. But when I'm giving a principle of what scripture teaches, then it's up to you to find that principle. If you don't believe that's a biblical principle, prove it. One of the most helpful things that I've had happen in my life, shortly after I became a Christian at the age of 24, I worked with the Salvation Army. I served in a corps in Vermont, and I served under an old brigadier, and she was a fireball, and she was very difficult to work with. I had a very challenging time because everything I believed, she challenged me. She would want to know why I believed it. She wanted proof. If I said that something was true, she wanted me to prove that it was true. And what she did is that she taught me to search the scriptures. She taught me to find out what it is, not just to say I believe something because I said I believed it, but to find out why I believed it. To look at scripture and to really point it out. And I'll be indebted to her for the rest of my life. She has long since gone on to her reward with the Lord. But she has been such a help to me in my life, in helping me to understand that you don't take things just because somebody else tells you to. Find it, look for it, search for it in scripture, prove it to be true. And I challenge you with anything that you've ever heard me say, whether in reading or in these videos, search the scriptures. Find out, is this right? Is this wrong? I welcome you to do that by all means, because that's how we truly are anchored within our faith. The other thing is that you have to understand that we're talking about principles, laws that are biblical truths. Now, there are, and you'll find this when you're studying any kind of success principle, there are laws of all different natures that govern us. And these laws are very important. They're the laws of nature. And these laws, again, these are truths. These are things that aren't up for argument. They're not up for change. They just are. Laws of nature. Gravity. I don't care if you agree with gravity or you don't agree with gravity. You may say, I don't believe in gravity. There's no proof. I can't see it. I can't touch it. I can't, read about it. I just don't believe gravity. Well, anytime you go on top of your house and jump down, you'll find gravity's real because you will always hit the ground. There are laws that govern nature. And they're consistent, and you can find them all the time. If you follow those laws or principles in nature, you can live a very successful life. You can use them to your advantage. And we grow by them. That's why we study these things. That's why we have scientists that go for years of their life studying different aspects of these laws. There are laws of success. People like Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, and Zig Ziglar, and many others have gone to extensive study into these principles. Now, one of the things you're going to find, and believe me, you ever want to do an exhaustive search, or a search that will make you exhausted, do one on success. There are so many teachers of success principles, and the thing you're going to find is that they all say the same thing. They all have the same principles. We just talk about them a little bit differently. So you say, well, then why have so many people when you could just read one? Well, because everybody sees things from a different point of view. Everybody has something extra that they can add as far as the viewpoint. The principle doesn't change, but how we view it and how we operate in it can change for each individual person. Some person may not connect to the way that Napoleon Hill has presented things, but connect very easily to John Maxwell. So they can, find those people who teach something that they can really connect with. And that's a wonderful thing. But those principles are always the same, because you can't change the laws of success. And there are laws of God. There are laws of the Spirit. That if you follow those, you will always come out on top. They will always help you to be a successful person and develop the character that you have. Those principles in how we treat other people, in our relationship to God, in understanding the Scriptures, in our service to God, our service to one another. There's so many different aspects that we can have. When you follow those principles, they will always work every single time. So remember, when I'm talking about chapter and verse, I will always give it to you if I'm giving you a direct quote. Otherwise, I'm giving you a principle that's there in Scripture. And don't be lazy. Go out there and find it. And one of the other things that we have to always remember is that how we treat one another is a very important part of building that character and in personal success. Because when you do unto others as you want them to do to you, the great golden rule, when you do that, you've got one of the key elements of success principles working for you. That is called courtesy, and that's the subject of our next video. This is John Patrick Hickey, and for the Growth Center, I want to always encourage you to please fulfill your purpose and change your world.